Welcome back to Superbly Said Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases.
Yeah, great to be back for another critique.
Today, our source material is a SpeakDuo English language lesson slide deck, which is titled 10 Things Luke Combs Can't Live Without.
Right, and just real quick, if you don't know it, you can go to SpeakDuo.com to meet new people from around the world who are practicing English on video calls.
Exactly. It's a great way to become more confident with your English speaking abilities.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
So, diving right into this material, which is definitely geared toward advanced English learners. The presentation provides a solid definitional foundation for the target vocabulary, but the contextual application of these idioms lacks the depth necessary for true language acquisition.
Okay, so you're saying the definitions are there, but the actual usage is a bit thin?
Yeah, exactly. The weakness here is that the current example sentences are entirely isolated and, well, they're highly generic.
Like what? What's an example of that?
So the deck uses the sentence, I finally decided to give up drinking sugary soda daily.
I mean, that's grammatically fine, right?
Oh, it's grammatically flawless. But it deprives the learner of the vital, nuanced context needed to understand the tone, the emotional weight, or the specific social situations where these phrases naturally occur.
Right. That makes sense. I wonder, though, if we've considered the creator's intent here regarding cognitive load.
How do you mean?
Well, instructional designers often strip a sentence down to its most basic form because they're actively trying to prevent the learner from being overwhelmed.
Oh, sure.
They might be thinking like, if I introduce complex social dynamics, the learner might just miss the actual definition of the idiom. Is there a risk that by adding too much contextual weight, we might distract from the core mechanics of the phrase?
Absolutely essential. But there is a fundamental difference between teaching a beginner the word apple and teaching an advanced learner an idiom,
Yeah, the stakes are different.
Exactly. The suggestion here is to integrate richer, scenario-based contexts, brief dialogues, or contrasting examples that actively demonstrate the subtle nuances and appropriate real-world triggers for each phrase.
Let's get into some concrete examples of how to do that. You mentioned to give something up.
Yeah, so for advanced learners, we need to compare it to a similar but different alternative. Like, what is the nuanced difference between to give something up and to quit?
Oh, that's a good one. Quit feels very sudden and absolute. Like, I quit my job, or I quit smoking cold turkey.
Right. Whereas to give something up often implies, well, a bit more of a personal sacrifice or an ongoing struggle. It has more emotional weight.
Yeah, like you're surrendering something you actually liked.
Exactly. So a great work example to show that nuance would be talking to a boss. I had to give up my weekend to finalize the Q3 report, but we hit the deadline.
That's way better than the soda example. It shows the sacrifice. Or if you're answering an IELTS Speaking Part 2 question about a challenge, you could say, I realized I had to give up my habit of procrastinating if I wanted to pass the exam.
Perfect. Now let's look at another one from the deck, to get hooked on.
Okay, yeah. What's the generic example they used for that?
Something like, I got hooked on the new television show.
Which again is true, but it doesn't really show the boundary of the phrase.
Right. So we need a contrasting example. The nuance here is the difference between getting hooked on something and just being interested in something.
Well, hooked on implies a level of almost addiction, right? Or an overly enthusiastic compulsion.
Exactly. So you want to show learners that saying, I got hooked on that reality series is natural, but saying our logistics department got hooked on the new supply chain vendor sounds, well, completely inappropriate.
Yeah, that sounds ridiculous. You wouldn't say that to a colleague. A better workplace example might be casually telling a coworker, I tried that new coffee place down the street and I instantly got hooked on their cold brew.
Yes, it keeps it light. Or for an IELTS question asking you to describe a hobby, I took one pottery class and I completely got hooked on it.
That's great. It builds a fence around the idiom.
So moving on to the overall framing of the document, the thematic promise established in the title regarding Luke Combs is left entirely unfulfilled within the actual lesson content, resulting in a disjointed narrative experience for the learner.
Yeah. The opening title slide boldly proclaims, today's video, 10 things Luke Combs can't live without. which is a strong hook.
It is. But the weakness is that the document explicitly sets up a specific, pop culture-driven narrative. Yet the subsequent idioms have absolutely no apparent connection to the country music artist.
Right, like the soda example.
Exactly. It creates immediate cognitive dissonance. When you title a lesson about a musician, the learner's brain opens a specific cognitive schema. When slide 2 suddenly talks about an office worker quitting soda, the brain has to abruptly close that schema.
Is there a risk, though, that focusing solely on Luke Combs might overlook learners who, just don't care about country music?
That's the trap. The fear of exclusion leads to dilution. But the learner doesn't need to be a fan to benefit from a cohesive narrative. The suggestion is to weave the stated theme directly into the vocabulary examples, to maintain audience engagement and fulfill the opening hook's promise.
Okay, so concrete examples. How do we weave in a phrase like, to have some flair?
Well, let's compare having flair to just being stylish. Being stylish is about following trends well. Having flair is about possessing a highly attractive, stylish, and remarkably original personal quality that captures real attention. It's energetic.
Right, it's got a bit of drama to it.
So tying it to the theme, the slide could read, while many country artists stick to traditional looks, Luke Combs performs with a unique, energetic flair that keeps the audience captivated.
That completely fulfills the promise of the title. And if we wanted to give a workplace example for that, you could tell your boss, Sarah really handled that difficult client presentation with a lot of flair.
Exactly. Or in IELTS Part 2 on describing a person you admire. He doesn't just cook well, he prepares every meal with such incredible flair.
Let's do another one. What about to drop some lbs?
Ah, yes. lbs, meaning pounds. The nuance here is comparing it to simply losing weight.
Drop some lbs is incredibly casual. You would never use this in a medical context.
Never. So in the Luke Combs narrative, you could say, before going on a massive stadium tour, he always hits the gym to drop some lbs, so he has more energy on stage.
That works perfectly. And in a casual workplace chat, you might say to a coworker, I'm skipping the donuts in the break room today. I'm trying to drop some lbs before my beach vacation.
Spot on. Let's look at one more for this section, to ramp up.
The difference between ramp up and just start or increase.
Yes. Ramp up implies significantly and intentionally increasing the overall speed, total power, or general operating level. It's a slope, not a light switch.
Right. So for the Luke Combs theme, before launching a 50-city tour, his production team has to significantly ramp up their daily rehearsals.
Exactly. You're teaching the vocabulary while keeping them grounded in the narrative. And a workplace example is so easy for this one.
Oh, yeah. Hey, team, we really need to ramp up our marketing efforts if we want to hit our Q4 targets.
Or IELTS Part 2, describing a busy time. As the exams approached, I had to seriously ramp up my study hours.
It just gives the phrase so much more life.
It does, which brings us to the third major critique area, the interactive application.
The breakout rooms.
Yes. While the inclusion of interactive breakout rooms is a structurally excellent feature, their current prompts are too broad to effectively consolidate the specific vocabulary being taught.
Yeah, the weakness is that the prompt just says, discuss the previous expressions with your partners.
It's overly vague. It fails to provide the specific constraints or creative scenarios necessary to guide learners into naturally producing the idioms.
They just end up staring at each other on the video call like, did you understand the words?
Exactly. The suggestion is to design highly specific, task-based speaking prompts for the breakout rooms that creatively force the application of the specific idioms.
Constraints breed creativity.
Right. So for concrete examples, let's look at the phrase, to wear someone out.
How is that different from just making someone tired?
Making someone tired can happen from a single activity. Wearing someone out implies making a specific person feel extremely exhausted and completely drained of all their physical or mental daily energy over a period of time. There's a friction to it.
Okay, so the breakout room prompt could be, role-play a scenario where an employee has to explain to their manager that dealing with a specific difficult client is starting to wear them out.
I love that. It forces negotiation. A workplace example would be, boss, I'm happy to help, but taking on these back-to-back night shifts is really wearing me out.
Or for IELTS Part 2, describing a challenging experience. The constant traveling for that project completely wore me out by the end of the month.
Perfect. Now let's pair that in a role play with another phrase. To keep someone sane.
The nuance there is comparing it to calming someone down.
Right. Calming down is temporary. Keeping someone sane means to successfully help a person remain completely calm and remarkably mentally stable during very highly stressful times. It's an ongoing coping mechanism.
So in that same breakout room role play, the boss could reply, I know the client is wearing you out. What can we do to keep you sane until the project is finished?
Exactly. The idioms naturally conflict with one another in the role play. Another great workplace example for keep someone sane is, honestly, chatting with you by the coffee machine is the only thing that keeps me sane in this office.
That is such a natural sentence. Or an IELTS answer about a friend. During my university finals, her constant support really kept me sane.
Let's do one final phrase before we test the audience. To sum something up.
How does that compare to conclude?
Conclude just means to finish. To sum something up means to briefly and accurately describe the absolute most important facts or essential core details of a very long situation.
So a breakout prompt could be, listen to your partner complain about their day for 1 minute and then try to sum it up in exactly one sentence.
That's a great task. A work example would be in a meeting. Look, we only have 2 minutes left, so to sum things up, we need a bigger budget.
Or IELTS Part 2. To sum it all up, it was the most challenging but rewarding trip of my life.
Awesome. So we've covered a lot of ground. I think it's time to conduct a quick quiz to see if these definitions really stuck.
Sounds good. We'll give the options as A, B, and C.
And for the audience, feel free to pause the critique here if you need to think about the answer before we give it.
All right, let's jump in. First question. What is the best definition for the expression to keep someone sane? Is it option A, to successfully help a person remain completely calm and remarkably mentally stable during very highly stressful times? Option B, to deliberately manipulate an emotionally vulnerable colleague into successfully accepting an incredibly terrible deal? Or option C, to aggressively demand an entirely sincere public apology following an exceptionally hostile and unexpected incident?
Feel free to pause here.
The correct answer is option A, to successfully help a person remain completely calm and remarkably mentally stable during very highly stressful times.
Right, and just as a quick reminder, the example we used earlier was telling a coworker that chatting by the coffee machine is the only thing that keeps you sane at the office.
Moving to the next one, how is the phrasal verb to give something up accurately defined? Option A, to formally transfer highly sensitive corporate documentation to an external financial auditor before a major meeting. Option B, to completely and permanently stop doing a specific regular daily habit or constantly consuming a certain substance. Or option C, to violently disrupt an organized public gathering in order to forcefully draw immediate attention to a certain cause.
Take a moment to pause.
The answer is option B, to completely and permanently stop doing a specific regular daily habit or constantly consuming a certain substance.
Exactly. Remember the nuance we discussed? It's about a sacrifice or struggle, like having to give up your weekend to finish a Q3 report.
Question 3. If someone manages to wear someone out, what exactly are they doing? Option A, to purposefully isolate oneself from a deeply supportive group during a remarkably stressful professional environment. Option B, to actively try to win an individual's absolute favor or critical support through highly calculated daily manipulation. Or option C, to make a specific person feel extremely exhausted and completely drained of all their physical or mental daily energy. Pause the audio if you need to. And the answer is option C, to make a specific person feel extremely exhausted and completely drained of all their physical or mental daily energy.
Yep, like when you tell your boss that taking on those back-to-back night shifts is really wearing you out. It's a drain over time.
All right, question 4. What does a person mean when they say they got hooked on something? Option A, to become completely addicted to or overly enthusiastic about something very quickly after trying it for the first time. Option B, to securely attach remarkably heavy industrial equipment onto a massive steel crane before initiating the lifting phase. Or option C, to accurately predict the highly uncertain outcome of an upcoming global political event using advanced analytics tools.
Go ahead and pause here.
The correct answer is option A, to become completely addicted to or overly enthusiastic about something very quickly after trying it for the first time.
Like when you casually tell a colleague that you tried the new coffee place and instantly got hooked on their cold brew?
Halfway there. Question 5. Which of the following describes what it means to sum something up? Option A, to systematically organize a remarkably complicated corporate process into easily manageable and clear new categories. Option B, to briefly and accurately describe the absolute most important facts or essential core details of a very long situation. Or option C, to deliberately, intentionally, completely ruin an ongoing professional plan or actively destroy your own personal success.
Pause if you need a second.
The answer is option B, to briefly and accurately describe the absolute most important facts or essential core details of a very long situation.
Right, like saying at the end of a long meeting, to sum things up, we need a bigger budget.
Question 6. What occurs when a company or individual decides to ramp up? Option A, to physically detach a heavy wooden object from its original metal frame to secretly access a guarded, secure inner room. Option B, to efficiently, rapidly, completely utilize a remarkably great initial idea to make much further progress on an old project. Or option C, to significantly and intentionally increase the overall speed, total power, or general operating level of a certain thing.
Pause here to think.
The answer is option C, to significantly and intentionally increase the overall speed, total power, or general operating level of a certain thing.
Remember the example of needing to ramp up marketing efforts to hit the Q4 targets? It's that deliberate increase on a slope.
Just 2 left. Question 7. What does it mean if you are trying to drop some lbs? Option A, to intentionally lose weight or effectively reduce your total body fat by adopting a remarkably healthier new lifestyle. Option B, to completely fail, massively lose overall value, or perform exceptionally poorly in a surprisingly sudden, shocking way. Or option C, to experience a completely unexpected financial disaster directly resulting from an intensely irresponsible foreign action. Take a pose. The answer is option A, to intentionally lose weight or effectively reduce your total body fat by adopting a remarkably healthier new lifestyle.
That's the super casual one, like saying you're skipping the break room donuts because you want to drop some lbs before vacation.
Last question. What is the underlying meaning of the expression to have some flair? Option A, to stubbornly maintain an entirely independent lifestyle while completely avoiding any regular group social commitments. Option B, to possess a highly attractive, incredibly stylish, and remarkably original personal quality that captures real attention. Or option C, to effortlessly complete a basic task without needing any instructions.
Pause for the final time.
And the correct answer is option B, to possess a highly attractive, incredibly stylish, and remarkably original personal quality that captures real attention.
Exactly. Like praising a coworker who handled a difficult client presentation with a lot of flair.
Well, that wraps up the quiz. Hopefully that helped cement those nuances.
Absolutely. So just to quickly recap the main points of our critique today. First, deepen the linguistic context of the examples so learners grasp the pragmatics and emotional weight of the language.
Second, align the lesson's actual content with its engaging narrative title to prevent cognitive dissonance.
And third, sharpen the structural utility of interactive segments by using highly specific, task-based speaking prompts in those breakout rooms.
We highly encourage the creator to implement these actionable strategies. It will make a huge difference.
And as always, we warmly invite all of our listeners to submit their revised instructional materials for further review in a future critique. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.